What is up today, football fans? Welcome back. I hope you guys are doing well and welcome to more football content. Now, I hope you guys have been enjoying the content so far. Still got a lot of content for you guys. So many recommendations, so many suggestions. Keep them coming, man. And if you want to be part of the community as well, be sure to join the Discord. Link is in the bio. Send us some videos. Or if you're a gamer, sports fan, and you just want to chat, make friends, everyone's welcome in. Love for you guys to be part of the community there and join the Discord. Now, for today's video, it's going to be a special one. NFL throwback. Thank you for the video. We're going to be watching and learning about how every team got its name and identity. Now, this video is 30 minutes long, so it's going to be packed full of information, which is exactly what I need so I can learn about the history of the sport. So, most likely, now I say this now, I don't know how it's going to go. It will be split to two parts, because between me pausing, commentating, adding my thoughts, asking questions, this video is going to turn into a whole movie. So I don't want you guys to sit through a long ass video. So most likely it's going to be just cut up into two parts, 15 minutes each, and then, well, let's say around 15 minutes each. So if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, let me know what do you guys want to see, who do you guys want to see, and if they're new, I'll add them to the list. And I'm going to be adding this video to the bio for you guys to check out as well. Let's get to watching.
The NFL is currently made up of 32 different franchises. But did you know over 75 have existed in league history? We're turning back the gridiron clock. It's the official evolution of the NFL, 100 years in the making.
100 years in the making.
The NFL was born in 1920, known originally as the American Professional Football Association.
All right.
It started with 14 teams, 12 of them clumped together in the Midwest, 2 others playing in New York.
And in order to join this group, you had to put up $100 for a franchise.
You'll notice many of the early franchises didn't even have official team logos. That's because teams were so informal back then, they just didn't even create them.
Jim Thorpe was unanimously elected president because of the name recognition that he could garner for this.
Jim Thorpe, the league's first president, won Olympic gold medals for the United States in 1912. He won in the pentathlon, I don't know what that is, and decathlon.
National Pro Football League.
Of the 14 original teams, only 2 would stick around to celebrate the league's 100th anniversary. The Decatur Staleys, known today as the Chicago Bears, and
Chicago
the oldest
Bears
team in the NFL, the Chicago Cardinals, who have since built their nest in Arizona.
The story behind the Cardinals name really goes back to Chris O'Brien when he purchased the uniforms that the Cardinals were going to wear. He purchased them from the Chicago Maroons, and they were faded, and somebody referred to the jerseys as maroon color. He said, those aren't maroon, that's cardinal red, and that cardinal name stuck.
While those 2 franchises are the oldest in the game, they did not win the league's first ever title. That distinction belongs to the Akron Pros, who finished that inaugural season undefeated at 8-0-3. Yes, 3 ties. The Pros weren't just the league's first champions either. They were also the first team in the league to break the color barrier.
The Akron Pros are one of those.
So Frederick Douglass Fritz Pollard was one of the 9 African Americans to play in the league from 1920. Only 9. That's wild.
Teams.
First team in the league to break the color barrier.
The Akron Pros are one of those teams that are lost to history, but Fritz Pollard was both a player and a coach for that Akron Pros team.
And since diamond-filled Super Bowl rings were clearly not the rage just yet, all the Pros players received this tiny gold football pendant for their efforts. The Pros were also the first and last recipients of the league's championship trophy, known as the Brunswick Balky Colander Cup, which to this day represents one of the greatest mysteries in NFL lore. It was lost after that first season, and this is the only known picture of it.
Interesting.
Following the league's first year, 2 teams renamed themselves and 1 moved. The Decatur Staleys, setting up shop in Chicago and winning their first ever championship while they were at it. The Chicago Tigers, meanwhile, folded, but 8 new teams joined. The league was now up to 21 teams, all still located in Midwestern.
Hold on. Cincinnati sells, Evansville Crimson Giants, Green Bay Packers, Louisville Breaks, Minneapolis Marines, New York Brickley Giants, Tonawanda Cardex. All right, sorry for that weird cut there. I had a very important phone call to do with the, if you don't know, I was in a car accident. This is like a follow-up appointment. So yeah, we're all good. We're all good. Let's get to watching. Sorry for that weird cut.
They were at it. The Chicago Tigers, meanwhile, folded, but 8 new teams joined. The league was now up to 21 teams.
I just want to
all
rewind this
still
part.
Located in Midwestern and Eastern states. Several of the new additions didn't last long. The Tonawanda Cardex, holding the ultimate one-hit wonder crown, playing just one league game, thereby making it the shortest-lived franchise in NFL history. The Dexys Midnight Runners of teams. The Green Bay Packers, however, would stick around, cementing itself as one of the most storied franchises in the league.
In Green Bay, Wisconsin, a team was founded with
During the NFL in
$500 put up
1921.
by a meatpacking company. They became known as the Packers.
The Green Bay Packers were one.
Wait, what?
In Green Bay, Wisconsin, a team was founded with $500 put up by a meatpacking company. They became
Meatpacking.
known
Okay,
as the Packers.
and that's how they got the
Green Bay
name.
Packers were one of those first teams that stadium was constructed with football as its main sport being played in it.
No other team in the league has played in the same city under the same name for as long as Green Bay has. Following the 21 season, 7 teams left the league and 4 new ones joined. The Milwaukee Badgers, the Oorang Indians, the Racine Legion, and the Toledo Maroons.
All right.
The Staleys, meantime, made a good call and changed their name to the Bears. Their owner, George Halas, picked Bears because they originally were playing their games in the same stadium as the Chicago Cubs. Halas not only wanted to connect his new team to the more established baseball franchise, but he also reasoned that football players in general were bigger than baseball players, so the name
All right. So the Bears name inspired by MLB's, which is baseball, right? Chicago Cubs. Football players being bigger than baseball players. Bears. That's cool.
made sense on multiple levels. But the even bigger name change that took place that year was the leagues. The American Professional Football Association was out to be known forever on as the National
NFL.
Football League.
I think a lot of that comes from wanting to be looked at or viewed as a national organization.
As the 1923 season got underway, it did so without the Evansville Crimson Giants, who bowed out. The Cleveland Indians, Duluth Kellys, and St. Louis All-Stars all checked in.
All
in
right.
1924, 5 teams left. 3 joined, the cities of Frankfurt, Kenosha, and Kansas City, all
Man.
being granted membership in the league. A year later, though, Kenosha, Racine, and Minneapolis all left. The Blues changed their name to the Cowboys.
Okay.
Canton rejoined, and Detroit, Providence, Pottsville, and New York were all added to the mix. The Giants, the lone team to stick, making them the 4th oldest team in the league.
Tim
I'm
Merrow
familiar with the
set
New
up
York
his storefront
Giants.
in the Polo Grounds, located on Upper Manhattan.
Hold on. Before the talking starts, New York Giants were founded in 1925 by Tim Mara, who paid a reporter $500 to join the NFL. $500. That's all it took.
Tim Merrow set up his storefront in the Polo Grounds, located on Upper Manhattan's Coogan's Bluff.
The New York Giants name came about really to attach pro football team with their Major League Baseball counterpart, trying to gain some of that fandom.
The Giants, named inspired by MLB's New York Giants, New York's tall sky. Okay.
From Major League Baseball.
That means ultimately the name Giants was inspired by all the skyscrapers in New York.
Skyscrapers.
In
yeah.
1926, 3 teams changed their names, including the league's first ever champs, the Akron Pros, who switched to the Indians. 3 franchises were dropped, but the Racine Legion came back as the Tornadoes, and 4 others were also added. The Brooklyn Lions, the Hartford Blues,
Okay.
the Louisville Colonels, and the Los Angeles Buccaneers, marking the first time the league had a team out west, although they never actually played any games in LA.
Ultimately, the LA Buccaneers played as a traveling team and really took up shop in Chicago. Played out of that city and then traveled as a barnstorming team, really.
The NFL really shook things up the following season when it got rid of more than half of its member clubs.
Damn.
The Cleveland Bulldogs were back, and the New York Yankees were added, 12 teams now making up the young league. And yes, I said the New York Yankees. The
That's what I'm
NFL was
thinking,
down to
right?
10 teams the next year. Duluth and Buffalo losing their spots in the league, while the Cleveland Bulldogs moved to Detroit and became the Wolverines. But they didn't last long, one of 3 teams to fold up shop the next season. Buffalo came back, and the Orange Tornadoes, Staten Island
The Orange
Stapletons,
Tornadoes.
and Minneapolis Red Jackets all joined. Come on in. Now, as the NFL began its second decade in existence, the turnover of teams was starting to slow down a little bit. 3 franchises were dropped, 2 joined. The Portsmouth Spartans, who are known today as the Detroit Lions and are the 5th oldest team in the NFL. In 1931, the Cleveland Indians were back. However, the Red Jackets and Tornadoes dropped out. 1932 was another significant blip on the NFL timeline. The Indians, Steamrollers, and Yellow Jackets departed, and the Boston Braves were added, which
All right.
you know today is the Washington Redskins. But by adding only 1 team and losing 3, the league was down to 8 teams.
Now, they changed the name, right? When was this video uploaded again? 5 years ago, yeah. They changed the names. I can't remember to what, though.
By adding
Someone
only
told me on
1
stream, I
team
can't
and
remember.
losing 3, the league was down to 8 teams. It was the smallest the league ever got.
We had the league
Just
really
8
trying
teams.
to
Shit.
protect itself and stay with fewer teams but have them more successful.
Then in 1933, the Cincinnati Reds were introduced to pro football, along with 2 Pennsylvania franchises that would establish permanent roots
Philadelphia
in the league.
Eagles.
The Pittsburgh Pirates, who eventually changed their name to the Steelers, and the Philadelphia Eagles.
It's funny when you read the stories leading up to the first game that the team played. Blood Ray was very optimistic. We're a first-year team, but we're going to surprise people. Well, they went out and they played their first game against the New York Giants and lost 56-0.
Philadelphia owners Burt Bell and Lud Ray settled on the name Eagles in honor of the symbol used by the National Recovery Act that was part of Franklin D. Roosevelt's New Deal that followed in the wake of the Great Depression. The 33 season was also when the owner of the Boston Braves decided it was time for a new name.
George Preston Marshall wanted to stick with the Native American theme, so he didn't want to keep the Braves name because that was the name of the baseball franchise, so he chose the Redskins.
That season was also the first in which divisions were created, which set up the first official NFL championship game.
Bears ball on their own 12-yard line.
Prior to that, the league champion was simply the team that had the best record at the end of the season. The Bears would represent the West, the Giants the East, with Chicago beating New York 23-21
that's a close
for the
one.
title.
That game really was the beginning of the popularity of pro football.
The following year saw the same exact 10 teams return, marking the first time in the league's history there were no changes. But mid-season, the Cincinnati Reds folded and were replaced by the St. Louis Gunners for the last 3 games. It would be the only 3 games they would play as an NFL franchise. Also in 1934, the Portsmouth Spartans moved to Detroit and changed their name to the Lions. The name was inspired
Detroit
by
Lions,
baseball's
okay.
Detroit Tigers, though the team had a different explanation. Quote, the Lion is considered
Hold on. So Lions name inspired by MLB's Detroit Tigers, desired to be the monarch of the league.
the monarch. Quote, the Lion is considered the monarch of the jungle, and we hope to be the monarch of the league. From 1935 to 1936, the same 9 teams remained, but it was in 36 that the NFL held its first ever draft.
Before
Ooh.
1936, every player coming out of college was a free agent. And a lot of times, those players were going to the teams with the biggest.
The Philadelphia Eagles made the first ever NFL draft pick in 1936 after finishing the previous season 2-9.
And a lot of times, those players were going to the teams with the biggest checkbook.
The Eagles used the first ever pick on Chicago Maroons halfback and first ever winner of the Heisman Trophy, Jay Berwanger.
All right.
But Berwanger would never play it down in the NFL. The Bears, who acquired his rights from the Eagles, were not able to meet Berwanger's salary demands, which ultimately led him to take a job
wonder how
in
much that was.
sales for a rubber company. It's true. 1937, the Boston Redskins made the move to Washington, and the NFL grew back to 10 teams, awarding a franchise to the Cleveland Rams. These are the same Rams that call Los Angeles home today. The name Rams came about because their GM at the time, Damon Buzz Wetzel's favorite college football team, had always been the Fordham Rams, so they simply copied it. As the 30s came
Fair
to a
enough.
close, the league was starting to stabilize. There were no changes to the NFL landscape in either 1938 or 39. But 1939 was monumental for the future of the league, even if its participants didn't realize it at the time.
The Brooklyn Dodgers hosted the Philadelphia Eagles
Love the music, by the
before
way.
a crowd of 13,000 fans. Few, if any, in attendance even noticed the cameras of NBC station W2XBS. Their presence marked the
Is that a camera or is that like a fucking turret? Man, it looks like they're about to blast someone out of that camera, man. Holy. NBC needed just 2 cameras and 8 people to execute the first televised NFL game. It was seen by roughly 500 people in New York. Oh, how things change.
first ever telecast of
And
a
I've got
professional
millions
football
watching.
game.
The first ever TV broadcast was only seen in parts of New York, but the seed was planted. The game's financial future, stability, and popularity were all secured with the marriage between the NFL and television. The 1940 season was significant for 2 reasons. First, Pittsburgh traded in the Pirates nickname.
They changed their name to the Steelers because of a steel worker ultimately proposed the name Steelers.
All right. Steel industry, steel workers, entry in name. Okay.
And that stuck, proposed the name Steelers, and that stuck, knowing that the steel industry was so big in that area.
That year also saw the first iteration of the now famous NFL Shield, the league unveiling the iconic logo for the very first time.
That's pretty
And
cool.
the Chicago Bears introduced its first official team logo, a black bear running with a football. Now here's the thing. Most NFL teams have updated their logos several times over. So if you pay close attention to the map, you'll see how those updates happen.
All
The
right.
league's member clubs continued to remain steady until 1943. That's the season the Cleveland Rams suspended operations for a year, but did not fold. It was due in part because of so many of their players were drafted into military service for World War II, which is also what led the Eagles and Steelers to merge, taking on the unofficial nickname, the Steagles.
The
Yeah.
Eagles.
The Steelers struggled for years and years. It took them a
The Pittsburgh Steelers merged with the Philadelphia Eagles in 1943, with the team being known as the Steagles. The team went 5-4-1.
decade
Okay.
and merging with the Philadelphia Eagles before they had their first ever winning season.
In 1944, the Eagles were back on their own, but Pittsburgh was still on shaky ground, so they looked for a new team to merge with, and they found a willing partner in the Chicago Cardinals, the combined teams known as Card Pit. The league also added the Boston Yanks, the Cleveland Rams returned, and the Brooklyn Dodgers changed their name to the Brooklyn Tigers.
All
In
right.
45, the Cardinals and Steelers merger was over. Both teams went back on their own, but the Brooklyn Tigers and Boston Yanks joined forces to form a new team known simply as the Yanks. Like the previous 2 mergers, it didn't last long. In 1946, the Tigers folded, so the Boston Yanks were back on their own. That same season saw the Rams pack up and head west for the sunny skies of Los Angeles, marking the first time actual games were played in LA proper.
The Cleveland Rams won a championship in 1945.
I love how detailed this video is. I'm glad I chose this one.
And their owner, Dan Reeves,
Which was
moved
sent to me
them
by a
out
viewer,
LA.
by the way.
This is maybe
Shout out to you.
the only time that I can think of where a professional team won a championship and then moved locations.
1947 and 48 came and went without any additions, subtractions, or relocations. But in 49, the Boston Yanks moved to New York and became the New York Bulldogs. Then came the next big expansion when the NFL merged with the All-America Football Conference in 1950, adding 3 new teams. The San Francisco 49ers,
Yep.
the Baltimore Colts, though not the same Baltimore Colts franchise that would emerge a few years later, and the Cleveland Browns.
The Browns open their season against the Philadelphia Eagles in Philadelphia.
From 1946, they played in the All-American Football Conference. 1946-49.
League fans of former years, the Browns had shocked the professional football world with a rude 35-10 jolting to the Eagles.
The Browns formed in 1945, and they're the only team named after a person. The inspiration coming from Cleveland's first head coach and GM, Paul Brown.
That's pretty cool.
Some people claim that it's more about Joe Louis being named the Brown Bomber, but I really do think in this area, Paul Brown is football, and his name really is the backing behind the Cleveland Browns being named the Browns.
The 49ers name, on the other hand, is more straightforward.
56,000 witnessed an encore between the Rams of Los Angeles and the San Francisco 49ers.
They were named after the settlers who ventured into the San Francisco area during the gold rush of 1849.
Joe the Jet
Interesting.
Perry. And
Okay,
he's off
okay.
on a sensational 58-yard gallop up the far sidelines.
The first incarnation of the Colts didn't last long, folding after the 1950 season. They were followed out the door the next season by the New York Yanks, who were replaced
All right, we got some logo changes as well.
by the Dallas Texans. The Texans' stay in the NFL was brief. The team lasted just one season of play.
The Dallas Texans, they're the last franchise to fold in the National Football League.
The league found its replacements for the Texans the following year when the second iteration of the Baltimore Colts emerged. And these Colts would have staying power, as they are the same Colts who have since moved to Indianapolis.
The original incarnation of the Baltimore Colts actually began in 1946 as the Miami Seahawks. They were moved to Baltimore in 1947.
Baltimore
there you
fans
go.
were given the opportunity to vote on a team name, and they stuck with Colts. Not
Okay.
only as an homage to the team that had just folded a few seasons earlier,
Area known for horse breeding, previous franchise run by Colts.
but as
Okay.
a way to honor the region's history of horse breeding. From 1953 to
Interesting.
1959, all was quiet. No new teams added, none dropped. 1960, however,
All right. So we're gonna call it here for now. We're gonna call it here. This is a good point because I don't want to like stretch out this video for too long. Hope you guys enjoyed this part 1. Part 2 will be uploaded like tomorrow, so the next day whenever this video uploads. I can't remember because I have a bunch of pre-recorded videos. So this video will be uploaded whenever, and then part 2 right after this one. So until the next one, you guys take care, stay safe, keep on grinding. Let me know what you guys want to see for future videos, and I'll write them down. Much love all. I'll see you guys